Hello everybody, so I'm doing a quick video today just in response to something that I read, a sort of broad sweeping statement that talked about the olfactory bulb and scents going in that they'll go through the olfactory bulb and then they'll help you to relax. And I just wanted to explain a little bit for people that might not know about how we process smells and our olfaction system. Just to explain a little bit about what happens. Now this is going to be very, very brief, and if you've got any questions about it you can come and ask me afterwards, drop me a comment or a message and I'll get back to you on that. But this is sort of just to give a bit of background information on what happens when we smell something like an essential oil. So yes, very briefly, olfaction. It's our ability to smell. Now our olfactory system is where olfaction happens. So when we inhale something, only up to 10% of that actually reaches the epithelium. Now, if you'd seen a post that I put up a couple of days ago, it gave a good diagram on the kind of the parts of our sense of smell, our olfactory system, and the epithelium was on there. So that is where the odour molecules will first reach. They then bind onto receptor cells, which send an electrical message to our olfactory bulb. Now there's a couple of things that happen in between them, but that's essentially what happens. And from here, they're sent to our brain via the olfactory cortex, where the scent is further analysed by three subregions. Our piriform cortex, the amygdala, and our entorhinal cortex as well. So these three subregions, they categorise the smell by identification, do we know what this smell is, by memory, any subconscious memories that we might have stored when we first identified that odour, and our emotional response to that smell as well. So those three things. So just to go back, when we inhale something, some of that actually goes into our respiratory system, where that has a pharmacological effect on the body. And some of it will go up to the olfactory system, where it has a psychological effect. And the psychological effect, it'll be different and personal for each of us. And it'll also be dependent on the intensity of the odour that we're smelling. So for example, I'm going to talk about lemon in a minute. So lemon oil, if we smell that in lower quantities, it can be quite a nice, sweet and refreshing smell. But if you're overloaded with the smell of lemon, it can be quite bitter and overwhelming. And things again like bleach, perhaps. Some people like the smell of that. They think, oh, nice, clean smell. Other people associate kind of cleaning chemical products with things like hospitals, and when they smell that in large quantities, it might bring back memories of that. So it's different responses, different effect, different people and different quantities. And I'd like to put in at this point as well, what we're saying that we're smelling is like lemon. That's not necessarily 100%, because to be absorbed into the body, whether it's through our nose, through our lungs or through the skin, what we're actually smelling, saying that the lemon essential oils, it'll be broken down into its chemical components or constituents. So when we're smelling, say, lemon, the scent is actually from the limonene, which is used a lot or is found a lot in other citrus fruits and cleaning products. So what we may actually be having a response to isn't the lemon, it's the limonene in the oil. So the point I just wanted to make, now that I've very briefly explained about how complex the olfaction therapy process is that broad sweeping statements that say, smell this, it goes into your olfactory bulb, and it starts a relaxation process. That isn't actually, it isn't necessarily going to tell your body to relax. That's not how it happens when things go up into the olfactory bulb. There's not a little guy there going, yep, this is safe, that's lavender, he can relax now. That's not at all what happens. So it's not necessarily accurate and it's not necessarily true, okay? what actually happens is that the odour molecules go through the olfactory system to our olfactory bulb. They're then registered via our olfactory cortex, where we're going to have a very personal reaction to it, okay? And it's highly subjective. So it's going to depend on a lot of other connections to that smell. And as I've mentioned, it's going to be a very personal thing. So not all of us will find certain smells relaxing or calming. And on that point, I wanted to talk about crystal therapy too, and the difference with things like how different crystals affect us. Now, I'm sure anyone who's a crystal enthusiast will have seen something like this before that they sell in sort of the new agey crystal-y shops. It gives you a little information card, it gives you the name of the crystal, and it tells you its properties. Now, this one, for example, I've just taken from my son's room, and it says crackle quartz and uplifting. So, prime example. But that's the same similarities with things that we smell, oils. We're going to be having a personal reaction to it, okay? And this is why crystal therapy should be, I mean, you can use your textbooks, you can use the textbook answers, but it really needs to be a lot more intuitive. And every client needs to be treated on a personal kind of level. So crystals, they're all made up of their own crystalline structure, okay? They're all a bunch of solidified chemicals that have been put together in this form by how they've been created, okay? And each crystal will resonate according to its makeup, how it's structured. It'll resonate at a different frequency. And like crystals, we have our own energy frequency as well, okay? We all radiate at different levels. And because of that, we've got our own energy field. And we will react to different crystals differently. So people say amethyst is very calming. Amethyst, for me, when I'm spiritually open, it can make me a bit more excitable, it can make me a bit more energetic. Not necessarily a calming crystal. So it needs to be approached on a very individual basis. Okay, Labradorite is another example. That one for me opens me up, it gets me working on a spiritual plane. Yes, it's very protective, but it makes me energetic because I'm open. Other people put it next to their bed to go to sleep. So it really depends on a one-to-one level. And it's, as I said, it's why things like crystals should be used intuitively, because we're not all going to react to the same crystal in the same way. Another one on that is rose quartz. Another classic one is meant to be for love. Some people who've got issues around their heart chakra, who might be a bit closed off, who might have had negative experiences and don't want to open up here, perhaps, they won't like rose quartz. They won't find that it brings them love. In fact, what they'll do is they'll repel it. They won't want to deal with it. They won't want to face that. So it won't necessarily have the same calming, soothing, gentle effect that it might for someone who's a little bit more open and a little bit more compassionate to how they're feeling in that centre. Okay? So yes, different things, different reactions to it. Not everything is as clear-cut as textbooks would have us believe. And summarising things to say it goes from here and has this response, or, you know, this is this and it'll make you feel that. It's not always a clear-cut case, all right? But if anyone's got any questions on that, hopefully I've briefly explained things. I'll post the picture again in the comments below if you want to have a look at the diagram of the olfactory system and the different levels of it. It is a very complex process. I've only just very quickly kind of detailed a little bit what happens. But as I say, when you smell an oil, only, if I smell this now, maybe only 10% of that will actually go into my olfactory system. And most of it will go down and be processed by the body through my respiratory system. And then it goes through the lungs, into the blood, through the blood to the rest of the body as well. And that's a whole different side of things. But hopefully that all makes sense and it's just clarified that. So just be wary of people that make broad sweeping statements.